in a very brief but very brilliant biography of one of the greatest preachers that ever preached in America or England, the biographer says that this man, well, he had strange habits, and one of them was to carry in the right-hand pocket of his coat a handful of precious stones, a diamond, an amethyst, a sapphire, a ruby, an emerald, and so forth. To add to his strange ways, he would walk into a park where people were going up and down, and he would put his hand in his pocket and take one of those precious stones, and then he would hold it up to the light of the sun, and he would lower it and higher it and seek this different shades from it or different illuminations from it. And people would go past, particularly children, and, they do this. You know how they do that, I don't mind people doing that. If they want to point to their own heads, that's okay. If they point to mine, it's something else. But the children were doing this, there's something strange about that man. And there's an old saying that potter envies potter. Preachers don't usually criticize singers, they criticize preachers. Singers criticize singers. Potter envies potter. And these preachers were sitting round a table one day eating in England, and they began to discuss this famous preacher. And one of them said, I heard him the other night. He was awesome. He lifted us into eternity. He has a vast vocabulary. I hardly knew whether I was in the body or out of the body. And then my little boy said he'd seen him in the park playing again like a child plays with marbles, playing with precious stones. A hymn writer wrote about the Bible, and he called it a golden casket where gems of truth are stored. It is the heaven-drawn picture of Christ, the living Word. There are roughly 750,000 words in the Bible. I suggest that, like that man selected his stone and lifted it up to the light of the sun, that we select one word out of this golden casket, and that word is judgment. And we hold it up to the light of eternity. And you can tell God you're not concerned about what this preacher says, but say, Lord, give me some new illumination on this awesome fact of judgment. I thought repeatedly this week of that awesome sermon, one of the greatest ever preached in America. Back in the 1700s, it was preached by Jonathan Edwards. We're told he brought his manuscript, and he had a candle there, and he wasn't very good looking, and he had a big nose, and he thumbed and he read with monotonous routine. He read that sermon, Sinners in the Hands of an Angry God. And people fell off their seats and they clung to the pillars that were holding the gallery up. And he didn't say, oh friends, please excuse me, I never meant to embarrass you like that. There's some psychological phenomena going on here. But while they were laid out, he just lashed them with the Word of God. And people cried out in their despair. There was a reason for it, because before he had prayed over and over and over again, oh God, stamp eternity on my eyeballs. I don't know anybody else that ever prayed it. Maybe we said it. But if God should stamp eternity or even judgment on our eyeballs, or if you like, on the fleshy table of our hearts, I'm quite convinced we'd be a very, very different tribe of people, God's people in the world today. We live too much in time. We're too earthbound. We see as other men see. We think as other men think. We invest our time as the world invests it. We invest our money. We're supposed to be a different breed of people.